Hello, everybody, and welcome to another webinar by myself, Jason Greenwood, and Vikram Saxena from BetterCommerce. Welcome to everybody who has signed up and subscribed across all of our channels, Eventbrite, LinkedIn, etc. This is part of our monthly webinar series where we are not only talking about kind of the state of B2B e-commerce, what the trends are and what they're looking like for 2025, but also talking about some of the feature releases and functional releases within the BetterCommerce platform to help B2B sellers and suppliers do business easier, faster, more conveniently, more efficiently, both for themselves and for their buying customers. So what we're going to be talking about today is a brand new feature release by the BetterCommerce team. They've been working really hard behind the scenes to address some areas that we see emerging as primary, not only sales, but also service channels for 2025. We've seen a pattern start to develop in the commerce world over the last couple of years, which is B2B sellers and suppliers trying to meet customers where they already are. And what we're seeing in the B2B world is that most B2B buyers are already communicating with their providers and sellers through common channels such as email. They're sending email quote requests. They're sending POs as attachments to emails via PDF, via CSV file, via flat file. And what's happening is that these communication channels that they're using today, they want those to also be transactional channels and customer service channels. So other ways that buyers are communicating with their sellers are through channels like Slack, WhatsApp, Microsoft Teams. And these channels are just common channels used in the workforce. If I'm a builder on a site, I want to communicate with a supplier and have them sending stuff to my job site. It's not really convenient for me to log into an e-commerce website to place those orders or to ask for a quote or to get a service request. And so these traditional channels of communication like email and like WhatsApp, etc., are becoming the de facto way that buyers are communicating with B2B sellers and suppliers. And so BetterCommerce has recognized this, and they're working very, very hard behind the scenes to make sure that these traditional communication and transactional channels in the B2B world are well supported as if they were headless commerce endpoints for these B2B sellers and suppliers. So we've got a brand new piece of functionality that's just been developed by BetterCommerce, as I mentioned, and that is the ability to handle email-based orders in an automated way and then map those directly into the commerce system for automated processing through the traditional order management workflow through commerce systems. So I'm going to turn the conversation over to Vikram. I'm going to let him fill in any of the blanks that I didn't cover as part of that intro. And then obviously we're going to get straight into the demo of this new functionality for our audience today. As we go through this demo, for anybody who's joined the conversation already, feel free to drop your comments and questions into wherever you're consuming this stream, including LinkedIn as well as YouTube. And then what we'll do at the end of our demo, we'll leave some time at the end to answer any questions you may have. So over to you, Vikram, for the demo.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you so much. Welcome. If you remember last time when we did a similar webinar like this, we did it on the WhatsApp. That was another channel that we had picked up. And the next one, as we discussed last time, this is going to be the email. And this is not a problem from today's world, actually. It's been there ever existing. And earlier there were these OCR systems, complicated ERP softwares, which were doing this job of trying to, there were two ways. Large enterprises used to buy OCR softwares or EDI, establish EDI interactions systems to do all of this job. Or the smaller businesses would typically set up manual teams, which would key in the orders after they've been received in the department. And they used to set up specific mailboxes to receive the orders, read the orders, and then key in those orders. With the advent of AI, with how the AI and the pace at which it is moving, we thought that this is a very powerful use case, which you should be able to create an order with an inbound email without any pre-configuration, without any formatting, without worrying about the format or anything like that at all. So if I just quickly share my screen and walk you guys through, I think that's will be the best thing to do. Now, the way that we do this is you, of course, have to configure a mailbox. Which mailbox do you want to configure? It's entirely up to you. What and then which folder in that mailbox. So you could potentially set up multiple mailboxes. So let's say one is going to be for your sales order, purchase orders that are coming in that are supposed to be converted into a sales order. Another could be your supplier invoices or any other documents that are coming from third-party providers and you want them to be processed, of course. And then you can set up all of these configurations right here. So what is the email address that you're going to be using, from which the mails have to be read, which folder has to be read for that? Do you want to enable any notifications for the orders or anything document that is coming in? And what is going to be the completeness criteria? Of course, certain fields are required for that document to be complete. Otherwise, without that, that order number would look potentially incomplete. And you want some mechanism to be doing that automatically without you having to check whether this PO number is populated or not. Is there a parent order number or not? Is there a due date associated or not? So you can flag certain fields that, okay, these fields are compulsory for the order to be completed. Once you've set all of this up, all you need to do is just send the orders. And what we've done is we've created 2-3 scenarios wherein potentially, let me just quickly take you back there. One sec. Just give me 1 sec. So we have created a few more scenarios wherein, you would have different kind of customers interacting with your business. So one is, of course, where you don't have anybody associated, somebody sending you an email, but that is not a customer already with your business. So the order will straight away, it will not be processed. It will go into a pending and incomplete status. Somebody is already a customer for your business. They have the account credit, but it is not enabled for them. Account credit is not enabled for their account. So again, the payment status will go to pending and the order status will also go into incomplete state. Third scenario is where the account credit is enabled, but there is no credit available for that particular account. In that case, also that will happen. So it already provides all of these validations beforehand, wherein if you have account credit availability, order will automatically be authorized, payment will be taken from the credit limit, and the order will go automatically into the approved state. So we have created few scenarios around this. And also, again, if we pick up the documents, we've created these documents. So if I just pick up, let's say, scenario 1 or format 2, let's say, and we have tried with different formats as well. We'll show, and there we go. So all we do is, let's say, mail order tools, and here is my PDF. The last order number that we had was 3480. And if I just send this order, send anyway, and we'll give it approximately a minute. Typically, it takes about 10 to 15 seconds to read the email, start processing that. And of course, after that, it invokes the whole AI bit and parses the order automatically. And in the meantime, if I just open up the document, this is how this document looks like. And it's a PDF file which is being sent out.
So what we're seeing here, for anybody who's not actually able to see the screen, what we're effectively seeing here is a PO sent from a customer, from a procurement specialist in the B2B world. They've got the PO generated usually by their ERP system in a PDF format or in a CSV format. In this particular case, it was a PO that was in a PDF format. It was sent to the order email address, the order receipt email address of the vendor, and it's been automatically parsed out of that email box. It's been, the attachment has been automatically parsed by AI. It has been mapped into the commerce system in BetterCommerce here. And all of the completeness level that was defined within that email inbox as needing to be complete before an order can go into a processing state, or at least the mappings of the different fields of that PDF file into the commerce system to begin the processing stages of that order and go through the order management workflow within the commerce system, that has been kicked off. And so what we're able to see here is the stage of completeness, the ability of the system to map those different fields from the PDF file directly into the different order management fields within the commerce system. And that's what we're seeing now. So Vikram's going to go ahead and open up that order within the backend admin area of BetterCommerce so that we can take a deeper look at that order as it's been received via email and then parsed straight out of the email attachment.
There you go. And if we just look at the PDF in there, so it's picking up all the elements, stock codes. And what we are also working upon is that these stock codes necessarily doesn't have to be they can be the customer's stock code rather than the business
Supplier stock code.
supplier stock code, basically.
So we can do a mapping effectively between
Exactly.
the supplier's stock code and the buyer's stock code. So what we're seeing here is we're seeing the SKU numbers, we're seeing the quantity of each line item wanting to be purchased, we're seeing the totals, we're seeing who the buyer is, also their account, what name their account is under. And then when we go back into the back end of BetterCommerce, what we're doing is we're seeing how this was all parsed and pulled directly out of the PDF and mapped directly to the customer's existing account within the BetterCommerce platform. And then obviously we're seeing the state of completeness as a total percentage of completeness within there. And that order is now ready to be processed through the standard order management workflow within BetterCommerce. So you can see this order now. If you're able to see the screen, we're now in the back end admin capability within the back end of BetterCommerce. And we're seeing this order as if it was placed through the self-service front end of the e-commerce platform. So through the e-commerce website, this order now has appeared in the back end of BetterCommerce just as if the customer had logged in, authenticated through the e-commerce platform front end, searched for the products, found the products, added them to their cart, checked out with those items and quantities in their cart. This has appeared in the back end exactly in the same way that an order placed through the front end of the website would turn up in the back end.
So if you notice, Jason, we've got this PO number also populated from the PDF, and the field could be saying literally anything. The field could be saying literally anything. Now, for example, comments or special instructions, it is automatically reading this. We did not really set up any mapping of the field that you have to read this data from here. There is no mapping done at all whatsoever.
Yes.
Yeah. For the same thing, for demonstrating the other purpose is if we pick up another format, let's just say we pick up this particular format, which is quite different from that.
Yes.
And then we send this one again. Format 2.
Yep. So what we're looking at here on screen, I'll just sort of sportscast this a little bit. What we're seeing here on screen is Vikram is sending another email order in. It's based on another PDF with a completely different layout, completely different format, completely different fields, completely different design of that PDF order PO. And he's sending that now to that same order receipt email address. And the system is going to be parsing that, reading that, using multimodal AI. That is the beauty, I guess, of multimodal AI nowadays, is the ability to parse any file type, any data, any asset, and be able to make sense of that data, effectively unstructured data, because of the fact that it is in a flat file or in a CSV file. And because it's not like the system is sending out a fixed template to the customer to say, hey, you must format your orders or your POs in this way. Otherwise, we can't read them. Otherwise, we can't receive them unless you use our template. No, they can use their default PO template in whatever file type and format it is, and they can send that in, and we can parse those files, and we can map those directly into the commerce backend.
There we go. So the next one has come in through, and we can potentially send a CSV as well if we want.
Yes.
If we want, we could send CSV as well, and we'll do exactly the same thing. So this is where I've got now a CSV. So if I just pick there we go. Yeah. So if you look at it, the CSV looks something like this. Now it may be different formatted. System will automatically map these fields based on different logics using the ML, like Jason said, multimodal large language models. So if I send this, and it'll do exactly the same thing for this. Now, just to give you a previous historical test where the data was incomplete, it'll automatically show you which fields have not been completed in the order. So it'll show exactly, so that you already have that capability available in here.
Yep.
if you
And
it's just through
you
that.
also demonstrated that, an email can be sent, for example, each sales rep within the business. So if you've got a catch-all email address that you use to receive all of your orders, let's say you've got a customer service team or an ops team or an ordering team, order management team inside the business, and you have a catch-all email address where you would typically receive all emailed orders, great. You set up a single email box. If you want to have a single email box per sales rep, for example, that they would normally all
Yep.
different, all of the named accounts, they would receive emails to their email address with order attachments. You can set up separate email boxes, and you can set up separate notifications to let that sales rep know when they've received a new email order that's been automatically processed along with the state of the processing. That way, if that order is incomplete in some way, if it's missing a piece of information, then that sales rep can immediately come in here. They can see which items and elements and components of the order are incomplete. They can then reach out to the customer and complete the rest and solicit the rest of the information to be able to continue the processing of the order. But at least what they're able to do is automate everything that the customer actually provides to them instead of having to manually key all that information into the back end manually, whether it be, typically what we see is that in the B2B world, the sales reps are manually keying orders directly into an ERP or into a WMS for order processing. Whereas here, we're taking all the information we can actually gather automatically from the customer, we're mapping that in, and then we're only gap filling if and when there are gaps. And so what that's doing is it's allowing the sales teams to scale. And, I'm seeing some questions coming through here. Why do you need this? If you've got a self-service e-commerce front end like BetterCommerce, why would you need customers to be able to send in orders via email? Well, it's because in the B2B world, there's still a lot of antiquated processes. And so what we're trying to do is to meet customers where they are instead of forcing them to change their behavior, to adopt our technology and to adopt our processes. What we're doing is we're just onboarding their existing processes into our business in an automated way. Now, what we usually find, and Vikram, I'd like your thoughts on this, what we usually discover is that even if we meet customers where they are, meaning that we're receiving orders via WhatsApp, we're receiving orders via email, receiving orders via Teams, we're receiving orders via Slack, and we're automatically processing those orders in the way that they want to give them to us, and we're providing information. So if they want to make a stock query, they want to make an MOQ query, they want to make a price query, they want to make a shipping query and find out how quickly you can get something to us, even if we can support all that through these traditional B2B communication channels like email and like WhatsApp, what we typically find is that if you also complement that with a self-service e-commerce front-end experience,
Absolutely.
like you would be able to build out on BetterCommerce, what we find is that they start to adopt and use the e-commerce front end for research, for product research, for example, for searching, because it's a little bit more of a user-friendly interface than making an individual query via WhatsApp. They log in. They are able to see across the entire catalog. They're able to see all categories of products that you carry. They're able to make nuanced search and filter experiences on the front end. And then what we find is that usually once they start using the front end for all those other services and they say, well, look, I can make an electronic quote request through this e-commerce website. I can check my pricing, MOQs, buying increments. I can check the status of shipments through that e-commerce front end. Then what we find oftentimes is that they'll just leave that open on their desktop, for example. And then over time, they'll oftentimes migrate to using that e-commerce front end. They go, well, I'm doing all my research here. I'm doing all my product homework here. Why wouldn't I now also just add that to my cart, check out with it, and have that charged to my credit account? So what we find is that there is this slow progress towards automation and towards using these digital tools in order to, it's like a wedge, right? I think of it almost like getting your foot in the door. And when we treat email and when we treat WhatsApp and when we treat Slack and when we treat Teams as effectively headless sales and service channels, it's just more digital channels for us to service our customers through. And by meeting them where they are, we guarantee adoption of these digital channels if we meet those customers where they are. So that is one of the biggest benefits of ensuring adoption of the, if you make a huge investment into your e-commerce platform technology, why wouldn't you want that technology to extend into those channels you're already communicating with your customers through?
Absolutely, Jason. The other day I was talking to a friend. I mean, he manages almost 3,600 large fashion brands, supplying threads to them. for their clothing manufacturer. And he said, whenever I ask them for using our digital self-service portal, they say, we don't have time. Why should I come to your portal? You should be doing whatever I want to ask. If I want to send you an email, you should be able to serve that.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. No question about it. And, what we're seeing, and, we're seeing this, even Andy Hoare with his paradigm, B2B reports and everything else, and the research he's doing is that this is becoming, I guess, really a common thing now that multimodal AI is becoming common in the marketplace.
Yep.
We even have, standalone technologies that are acting as middleware
On mute, yeah.
between legacy e-commerce platforms that don't have this capability. What we're doing is we're seeing platforms like Motivate, for example, who I've had on my podcast before. They really are coming to the fore as the middleware layer between legacy e-commerce platforms and things like ERPs, PIM systems, etc. And what we're seeing is that this is becoming, this type of automation is
Yep.
becoming very, very common as a requirement in the B2B world. And I think within the next 12, 18 months, if you're a B2B supplier in the B2B marketplace and you're not offering this type of experience to your customers, if you're not meeting your customers where they are so that it's easy to onboard them into your business, then you're going to be left behind by your competitors that are doing this, because this is becoming an absolute default expectation. And B2B buyers are saying, well, why should we have to change our processes? Why should we have to change the way that we do things to make your life easier as my supplier? Why can't you meet me where I am using the technology that I already use every single day? We see that as an emerging trend for 2025, that there are lots of technology platforms out there that are starting to enable this, even for legacy e-commerce technology, to try to bring them up to speed with this modern world of AI.
Absolutely. No, I think where AI is going to head or where it is going to take is going to be very interesting space. A bit scary, creepy, but I think very exciting as well.
Yeah, it's a little bit creepy, but what the customer doesn't necessarily even need to know behind the scenes is that AI is doing this, right? If they already send emails to their sales rep, for example, their field sales rep, their internal sales rep, their customer service team, if they're already sending emails to those emails and they're getting manually handled by their account manager today, and then all of a sudden, somebody implements a technology like this that then picks up those emails and automates the process of converting those into a digital equivalent, right? The customer doesn't necessarily even need to know that this technology is in play. All they know is their order continues to get processed just like it always did.
Right.
And they continue to send the order through in the way that they always did. But, from the supplier side, from the seller side, this level of automation can save. Well, in my personal research with the clients that I work with, the B2B suppliers and sellers, manufacturers, wholesalers, and distributors, what we find is that anywhere from 20 to 60% of a sales rep or account manager or BDR, whatever they're called, the equivalent of a sales rep, anywhere from 20 to 60% of a sales rep's time is spent on manual activities like this, where they would usually receive an email from a customer with an attachment, where they have to manually key that order either into the commerce system or the ERP or whatever it might be. And that adds zero value to them. They don't make any more commission in those scenarios. And that doesn't bring any additional value to the customer for them to manually key that order in. So where we can bring Salesforce automation into the commerce stack, I think this is a massive benefit, not only to the supplier, but also to the customer, because it allows them to continue to do business in the traditional way that they always have and meet them where they are, whilst also bringing some additional digital services to the table that are completely transparent to them as the buyer.
Absolutely. And not just that, we've seen businesses where what they do is, if the order is incomplete, they want ability to be able to edit, update those details right here and reprocess the order from here. So that's the next thing that we're going to do right here. So even if some data elements were missed out, they can update it. So basically it takes away almost your 90% of the manual work that you're putting in today, for which you probably need 10 people. I've seen businesses who have got 20 people teams sitting just processing these orders.
Yes. Yeah.
All of that then goes away.
It's actually pretty common, and it's pretty common that for example, now we can automate with technology like this, and like I said, this is becoming such a common expectation in the market by B2B buyers and procurement specialists that, regardless whether they prefer to use EDI, whether they prefer to use punch out or e-procurement, whether they choose to order via email or Slack, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, they have their processes and they don't really want to adapt their processes to help make your life easier as the supplier. They want you to adapt to them, right? And map to their processes. But what we're finding is that for those guys, on the procurement side, if they can automate their processes in buying from you, meaning that you adapt to them versus the other way around, that they're finding that they're saving somewhere between 0.5% and 2%, that they're saving that much in time of procuring in the way that they want to procure from you if you adapt to them. And that means that you become the default provider of choice versus the other suppliers that they may have to adapt to be able to procure from. And I think this is a really big topic of conversation in the B2B world right now. I'm speaking to so many merchants in the B2B world that are going, how do we do this? How do we bring efficiency to our businesses without forcing a whole lot of change management heavy requirements on our customers? How do we seamlessly bring these customers into the fold in some sort of automated way that means we can actually scale our business without throwing bodies at it as a supplier? So that's the key. And what I was saying before around customer service, oftentimes the way that this works within the B2B supplier scape is that if an account is too small to be a named account and have an account manager, let's say they don't buy that much through this supplier, right? Only the big boys and girls, so to speak, on the buy side warrant getting a named account manager with that personalized level of service. And oftentimes those smaller accounts just get pushed straight through to customer service. Well, now with this level of automation, even the smaller customers can have that same level of tailored and personalized service that the bigger buyers will get traditionally by having a named account manager. And so this levels the playing field and it democratizes the level of service that these B2B suppliers are able to give to their customers because they can now do it at scale with automation. And I think that's a really key point, is that we're now able to give a similar level of personalized service to our small accounts, just like we do to our big accounts today. And I think that's a real key differentiator here.
Yep. There's one question in there, Jason. Can it support businesses that operate across multiple regions with different tax and compliance regulations? Yes, of course, it can. Basically, all of that still sits in your commerce engine, whatever implementation, whatever compliances have been already set in. So this is completely a separate layer. It's almost like a new sales channel, which is basically just going to flow and remove your manual data entry. That's it. That's it. Rest, everything remains as is.
Yeah, and I think it's important to also talk about the fact that, BetterCommerce is a genuine, true multi-site platform. So multi-storefront, multi-site can all be run from a single admin. They can have at the domain level, you can have completely different settings. You can have a different theme. You can have different tax rules. You can have different currency rules. You can have basically different rules around even your order management, which inventory pools get assigned to a storefront. So multi-location inventory works across all storefronts where you can aggregate inventory pools together, or you can have them be completely different and separate by storefront. You can have different order management and routing rules per storefront, and you can have different email rules and different processing rules and different mapping rules per storefront using this technology as well.
Absolutely. Perfect. I think we are dot on time, Jason.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm just quickly going through a couple of these other ones here. Can it handle unstructured? Yes, it can. I mean, it'll handle any unstructured data. It's a learning engine as well. So it will get better over time the more data gets fed into it. So yes, absolutely it will. It says someone or Ian, thank you very much, Ian. You kind of answered one of the questions. One of the questions was, why would you want this if you have a really modern self-service e-commerce portal, why would you want to offer this as a service to customers instead of encouraging them to just go and use your self-service e-commerce portal. And Ian rightly points out, he says, that's related to the customers using it. Some of those buyers prefer doing things the old-fashioned way. Or in this scenario, maybe this handles situations where you don't integrate your ERP full into the e-commerce process. So absolutely, that's 100% correct, Ian. You hit the nail on the head. What we're trying to do is we are trying to move away from a model whereby we have to go through a massive change management process with our customers for them to be able to do business with us electronically. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to minimize the change effort required on the buy side for us to be able to automate things on the sell side and to provide them a better level of service. But as I mentioned before, when we're offering all those other digital services through a buyer's portal or e-commerce portal or whatever you want to call it, if we're offering all those other digital services other than the transaction through that digital portal, what we do see is we find that customers will slowly adopt transacting through that portal after they've used it for all these other things for a period of time.
Yep.
Well, Vikram, this has been a great demo. Look, I'm very happy to take part in this. I always try to encourage, every B2B player out there in the market. I want them to do better. I want them to be better. I want them to meet the market where it is. And I am a true believer it's all boats. And I think this is, it's not just BetterCommerce. It's a community, and it takes a village for us all to do better and be better. And everybody across the entire B2B ecosystem is leveling up their game from a technology perspective, trying to leverage AI in new and novel ways. And I think this is, it's a big step forward, not only for BetterCommerce, but for, blazing a trail in the e-commerce space. So congratulations. And I can't wait for a month from now. I can't wait to see what's next on your development roadmap and being able to present that to people out there in the market.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jason, for hosting this with me. And it's been absolutely wonderful. Any other questions, please, guys, feel free to reach out via email, and we'll be more than happy to respond to you.
Yeah, so there was one final question here, which we can answer. Are there any limitations with the feature when it comes to processing emails in different languages? Vikram, maybe you can just answer that as the final last question.
No, there is no limitation from a language perspective. Like I said, this is all using the LLM models already built in, which already has the capability to translate your languages as well automatically without any additional configuration at all.
Yeah, and what's interesting about that, and I'll just give a personal story. So I'm a subscriber of ChatGPT Plus, and I live down here in Mexico now. I have done for the last 2 years. And historically, I would have to copy and paste text into ChatGPT for it to translate for me. But now I can actually take even just a screenshot with my phone, or take a photo with my phone of say the back of a bottle or something like that. I could take a photo of a whole bunch of information that's in Spanish. I can upload the photo to ChatGPT and say, can you translate this photo into English for me on the fly? And it will do it. These multimodal large language models are transforming the way that we interact with technology.
And just last one, somebody's asked, how can we test or pilot this before full deployment? Please just reach out. We'll set up a small sandbox for you to try out.
You're happy to set up proof of concepts for anybody that wants a bit of a detailed demo or a personalized demo as a bit of a mini POC proof of concept. You're happy to arrange them, aren't you?
And complex order scenarios such as bulk orders, system already handles bulk orders. We can demonstrate that as well. Special pricing. So whatever pricing is already, if there is a pricing setup for the customer, system will, when creating the order, it will automatically apply the customer specific special pricing on that. And the order will still be processed like I showed in the demo.
Amazing. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We look forward to catching up with you in around a month's time with all the latest developments from the BetterCommerce team and what they're bringing to the market to try to make B2B suppliers and buyers' lives a little bit easier. Really appreciate your time. Can't wait to speak to you guys again soon. Thank you very much.